Hey, welcome back to the Cybersecurity Whisper for the week of January 12th. We talk about often how the cybersecurity community really is a community. It's a family, and I know a lot of people take that for granted or maybe say it's cliche, but we had a kind of everyone come together this week. We had a death in the cybersecurity community. Amit Yoran died at 54 years old after a battle with cancer. And if you didn't know, Yoran is a cybersecurity industry veteran, a respected member of the community, and he had served as CEO of Tenable since 2016. Prior to Tenable, Yoran had leadership roles at RSA Security, including the president. He was the founder and CEO of NetWitness until it was acquired by RSA. He was on the board of directors for Blackline, Center for Internet Security, and Vintz. He served as National Cybersecurity Director at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, and so he certainly left a large footprint on the cybersecurity community. And so certainly thoughts and prayers go to his friends and family. Now, here's an interesting one. Hackers are turning to a pretty unusual source of information to dox their targets, and that is the trailer and truck company U-Haul. I mean, think about it. The company holds a bunch of data that may not be publicly accessible. And so you would think, well, why not just hack U-Haul? Instead, members of an underground criminal community that hack massive companies and usually steal lots of cryptocurrency, and they even commission robberies or shootings, against members of the public or one another. They have an unusual method for digging up personal information on their targets, and that is through U-Haul. With access to U-Haul employee accounts, so again, with using employee accounts, the hackers can look up a U-Haul customer's personal data. And with that, they can try to social engineer their way into the target's online accounts or potentially target them with violence. And so, there's members of the community known as the COM, and it's composed of potentially 1,000 people, and they use Telegram and Discord and any information available to them to dox and hack people, no matter how obscure. And it also provides context as to why U-Haul may have been targeted repeatedly in recent years, and with the company who has previously disclosed multiple data breaches, because they've got lots of information. It can be used for all sorts of stuff, and again, for doxing their targets. And so it's very interesting and been used for to set up phishing pages, with Gmail and Coinbase and other U.S. carriers. And they've continued to use phishing pages also to clone the official point of sale system used by U-Haul workers, and that's how they get their credentials, and they look up the customer info. It gives them their name, address, phone number, the last four of their billing, and so then they can use that to go to major ISPs such as Comcast and social engineer their way in. It's just a treasure trove of information for these bad guys, and so you think about some of the creative ways. They've even gone so far as to use this for SIM swapping, stealing cryptocurrency, even booking Airbnbs under fake identities and regularly moving from location to location. Just crazy, some of the stuff they can find through there. Now, as we ended 2024, we did the normal predictions of what we think will stay the same, because cybersecurity has essentially been the same for 20 plus years, just with the attack surface increasing and the rate at which attacks are occurring, increasing, but the method staying really the same. But if we want to look at really 12 areas that we can focus on for 2025, and I mean, where did 12 come from? It, probably should be 5 or 6 to be, actually achievable and attainable. But the first really is important. And, when you hear about all this AI buzzword bingo, we need to learn whether AI is actually relevant to your business. Because it's been a game changer for some industries, across the board, but maybe not cybersecurity. It's not always for the better. And so you've got to know that it can be extremely helpful, but we're all kind of holding our breath, wondering, is it going to be used against us? And anything that we have developed for good, will be used for bad. And so there's just a lot more creative than we are on the good guy side, the bad guys. And so that's certainly number one. Number two is we need to upskill on AI and learn how to use it for good. Awareness and training programs and the human risk management aspect. Of AI. It's so easy now to create free deepfakes, videos, voicemails, and other things you can use for your training. And so you need to make sure that you're accounting for that in your security awareness training. You've got to lean in on identity-centric security. Again, the bad guys are leveraging the same technologies to enhance their capabilities, and using this deep fake technology with really this increased focus on security controls. This can help us identify, reduce, and neutralize the risks. We've got to step up this non-human identity security. Again, we're going there's think about service accounts and APIs. It's just critical that machine-to-machine communications that we secure those, because oftentimes they don't use MFA and the other layers. We've got to ensure security investments are proportional. Again, what does it mean to have a reasonable, indefensible security? I mean, you've got to look at the investments you make and the efforts put in, and make sure, what are they costing? And is it worth that? What are you protecting? Is it a liability for you? You've got to really understand that. You've got to obtain directors and officers liability insurance. Make sure you're named on the company's policy. If you're not, go out and purchase it yourself. It's just critical. You've got to stay ahead of the cybersecurity legislation. You got to understand, there's just a ridiculous amount of legislation that's being considered right now and how it could impact you and your industry and your company. Certainly need to educate your executives about the cost of the breaches, and don't use fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Just make sure that they understand and that they can, that you optimize your budget for proactive cybersecurity defense as a means to reduce your overall risk. We are risk managers. You can't eliminate the risk, but just manage it and understand it. Certainly, this has been said for decades. You speak the language of the business. We've got to understand how the business makes money. And as the CISO, make sure that we're not disconnected from what's actually happening, and that we understand what's going on across the different C-suite, the different executives. We've got to collaborate with other parts of the organization, make sure that our security goals are aligned with the business goals, and that we don't delay projects. We need to be a business enabler, enabling and delivering new digital innovations in a secure way. We've got to tackle third-party risks head on, go beyond just a questionnaire and actually start adopting some leading practices. Collaboration in this area, it's not just getting together for roundtables, it's focusing on having deeper conversations. What does it mean for these third parties, and actually contextualize and personalize the conversation. And finally, we've got to put cyber recovery back at the top of the agenda. We talk about resiliency and emphasizing the speed of recovery is critical to retaining customers after an attack. If it takes 2 or 3 weeks to recover, you're now an anomaly. You've got to shift to whether you recover within 3 days or a week. And so we've got to really focus on resiliency. Now, I often get asked about certifications. If I were going to get into cyber, I want to switch career fields and get into cyber. What are some entry-level security certifications I could get? There's a great article that came out this week with kind of 12. Again, where does this 12 number come? Probably it should be 2 or 3. But think about it's specific. You can get one specific to platforms such as the AWS certified security, or ones that are kind of more generic, like the certified cloud security professional, the certified ethical hacker, certainly the CISA, the information security systems auditor, the CCNA, which is from Cisco. CompTIA has their cybersecurity Analyst Plus, Network Plus, Security Plus, the GSEC, the Security Essentials. You've got Microsoft, the Security Compliance Industry Fundamentals, and you've got the Offensive Security Certified Professional, OSCP, and the SSCP, the Systems Security Certified Practitioner. And so some of those are some of the entry-level certs that certainly would help you stand out when you're trying to get into this field. Now, here's an interesting one. A researcher turned some insecure license plate cameras into an open source intelligent tool. We talk about Internet of Things, and so these are some Motorola automated license plate readers, these cameras. They're live streaming video and car data to the unsecured internet where anyone can watch and scrape them. And this was, of course, found out by a security researcher. And, he developed a tool that can automatically scans the exposed footage for license plates and dumps that information into a spreadsheet, allowing someone to track the movements of others in real time. And this is a Motorola Reaper HD, license plate reader that he bought on eBay. And so these are deployed all over the United States by cities and police departments, and it's possible to view the data from these cameras that they're collecting. First it was if you join the private networks they're operating on, but then he found out that many of them are misconfigured and they actually stream to the open internet rather than just that private network. And so he showed that this researcher showed that many of these cameras are indeed misconfigured, and that the data is being sent to the open internet where IP addresses can be found using the Internet of Things, the search like on Census, the website Census, and can be watched without any username or password. So it's important and critical that we secure these Internets of Things, and that we hold actually these, not only at Motorola, but these cities and police departments that are deploying them, they should be doing these checks. They should be vulnerability scanning and pen testing these before they put our privacy and data at risk. Speaking of privacy, Apple is certainly getting a backlash on their new AI photo analyzer. This is their photo analyzer that was just released, and just months after the company appears to have enabled the feature by default, so it's turned on. This enhanced visual search automatically identifies landmarks by scanning user images stored in your Photos app. And this was introduced with iOS 18.1 and macOS 15.1 in late October of last year. It uses a combination of on-device machine learning and encrypted cloud-based processing to extract numerical representations called vectors, embedding that may or may not constitute possible landmarks. And the data, it's encrypted with encryption and is transmitted for further processing to Apple's servers without revealing the information it contains. And a resulting landmark label is then sent back to the device encrypted. But Apple said in November that the privacy-preserving techniques it uses, including differential privacy and the use of OHTTP relays, means that the user data is anonymous, so neither Apple nor its cloud partner, Cloudflare, can see the actual image data or any associated metadata. But the feature has drawn criticism because it's turned on by default. And not only is it not opt-in, but you can't effectively opt out if it starts uploading this metadata about your photos before you can even use the search feature. It does this even if you've already opted out of uploading your photos to iCloud. And as of the time of this article, Apple had not commented. So that's the exciting stories for the week. And again, we thank you for joining. Thanks. Be sure and hit like, subscribe if you've got any questions. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.